Croeso. Welcome back to Britain's Hidden History and me, Ross Broadstock. Thank you to Marshall Abrahams, you'll all know from this channel, hopefully. Also, our own channel does great stuff, who has sent me a link to make a possible video, and it's absolutely fascinating. But for more reasons than I think the people who wrote the article realise. It's from the Times of Israel. It's from 2019, it's about 3 years ago. Now, groundbreaking study. Ancient tin ingots found in Israel were mined in England. So that's pretty groundbreaking, okay? I want to grab this map before the image changes again. So it rotates the images. And as you can see there, we're seeing a clear link between the Middle East and Britain. We also argue we've seen a clear link between ancient Hebrews or Israelis, or whatever you want to call the area, the Middle East and Britain. Now, there's all sorts of dates and stuff in the article, which I'm not going to go into. I think they've open to discussion how accurate the dates are. The principle is the link that goes back to ancient times between these two regions. But hopefully, I don't know, something I've spotted, which you might have picked up on as well. Look at this map, it reminds me of other maps. And the fascinating thing is, the red areas, these shapes, these red areas, represent tin deposits. Okay, the larger the shape, the larger the deposit. Now, if we think back to the migrations of the Cymry, and before that, the Alpine migrations as well, these tin deposits seem to remarkably tell the story of where they went. It's amazing. Right, we pick up the story here. We'll look at ancient Assyrian before that, and possibly over here even. But anyway, let's come back. Let's start in Egypt. This is the Red Sea, this is the Israeli side, this is the Egyptian side. So we've got the so-called lost tribes, the Cymry, the Hyksos, coming down where the tin is. They then are supposed to have left in the Exodus, and after hundreds of years of battles and history in this area, which we're going to talk more about soon. It's in this book here, Moses in the Hieroglyphs, Wilson and Blackett. They then migrated to this area in the sort of southern Anatolia. And again, we see the tin, okay? The story of the migrations is then that Aeneas took, after the fall of Troy, about 650 BC, again, we got the book about that, Aeneas took some of the population over to what's now called, I get mixed up, what's the old and the new names? Tuscany, all right? So Etrusca over here. And guess what? There's another tin deposit, all right? Now, when we look at the other parts of the migration, we've got the Brutus migration, and we discover in the British history, the Welsh history, we got Galicia. Oh, wow, there we go. There's another blob of tin. Then we got Brittany, so-called because Britons live there. The language is Breton, reconquered back in the 4th century, in the 380s, and colonised. The languages are more or less the same. But also we got ancient references to that. It's also been a staging point or drop-off point. Then obviously we got Cornwall. Then we got this fascinating area. I don't get into politics and get too contentious, but this is still part of Britain as opposed to Ireland, Republic of Ireland. And you can see right there is another major tin deposit in the area where Britons still are to this day. Now we follow this through then, and if you remember, we did a couple of weeks ago talking about Arthur I and his campaigns of conquest, again back in the 380s, and this was the area they were heading for. This is the area down here. Again, so all these red blobs here seem to represent, or correlate is a better word, correlate with the migrations of the Cymry. So it'll be fascinating to if there's someone out there who wants to tell me or send me a message a little bit about this bit, and these bits. Maybe it's too difficult to get to, or nothing to do with it, or the whole thing's just a red herring. But they'll be interesting points to research. I would also suggest that someone might want to look at this and this area and see if that ties in as well. Because then we're getting towards India, where we've got the other connections. As you can see, it's not that far. We think of India as being millions of miles away. It's not that far, especially if we start from here. Yeah, if you start from a nearer place, of course, it's nearer. Good work, Ross. But anyway, this is the connections there. We've got Sanskrit being a very similar language to Cymry. You've got these word connections, like Michelle Evans pointing out that Buddha Boidar, the good life, and there's loads more. You can even translate Sanskrit itself. The words tie in. So maybe this quest for the tin is the key point here. I find it fascinating. I mean, what you see, and I'd really like people to comment on this and see what they think. So you can read the rest of the article. It's not as interesting, really, to me anyway. It's got some dates, which I would throw huge amounts of skepticism about. These dates, they don't really know. It's conjecture. Could be right, could be wrong, could be, and then how tin is made, how you can work out isotopes, medieval ships sunk. Some of the objects, which obviously got the Egyptian connection here with an ibis, also ties in with British imagery and history. And this is brilliant. I love this one comment, I have to say. It became an indispensable commodity, this is tin, worth scouring the world for. Scouring the world. Migrating as well. And going to war over. And it occupies a special place in the history of mining, economic geology, agriculture, warfare, art and human development. And this is a nice blow here from Mr. Cathro. Gold and silver could finance a war, but bronze could win it, because that's what you needed for your weapons and your armour. So I recommend, I'm going to read through that. Anyway, it's a really short article, and it's very interesting. And one of the things that also struck me a little bit is this whole thing about the mining and going vast distances, because Tolkien, there's a lot hidden in Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien obviously knew a lot more than he let on, although he hid slightly. And if you watch interviews with him, you'll see that the different races are archetypes, one of which is the dwarves, the ones who do the mining, which relates to the Welsh people, but he also had Jewish people in mind when he designed them, delving in, mining, looking for the precious metals, and he talks about mithril. And it suddenly struck me, I wonder if mithril is a kind of weird way of looking at tin. I know tin's not particularly valuable these days, but in those days it clearly was, because copper was abundant, but you couldn't make bronze without it. Is there a connection with tin and mithril? No, and I mean this sincerely. I'd love to see comments and people's ideas on this, all right? As long as it's polite, I don't take anything down. I know comments have disappeared. It's not me, all right? I don't know what happens on YouTube sometimes. But I think this is a fascinating article. So thank you to Marshall for sending it. And if you also find interesting tidbits like this, you want to send them through, please do so. ross@cymryglyphics.com. I know I'm a bit behind, a bit slow at replying, but I do try and read them all. And I think this could be onto something. This quest for tin, mithril, around the world, the map matching the migrations, strikes me we could be onto something here. So anyway, that's how it goes. Till the next time, from me, Hedwig.